So we were looking into the golden rules of op-amp, right? As to what has to be done in order to, or the basic properties that we can see with regards to op-amp. Okay, so these are the major things that we see. The inputs to the op-amp draw or source no current. Okay, the inputs to the op-amp, they never draw any current. Okay, which means there's no current flowing through the inputs of op-amp, but there's going to be a voltage difference. The op-amp output will do whatever it can to make the voltage difference between the two inputs zero. So which means even though there is a difference voltage given between them, it will try and make sure that those differences are nullified. Okay. So this is the inverting configuration of our amplifier. Okay, I want you all to pay very close attention. If possible, try to make notes. Okay, because this is important as we are going to start with a simple circuitry and the basic information about op-amp. As we all know, this is the inverting terminal, right? And this is the non-inverting terminal. So we are now going to study about the inverting amplifier configuration. Okay, how this op-amp can be used as an inverting amplifier. As we discussed previously, there are possibilities of working out this amplifier, okay, in the inverting mode and the non-inverting mode. Right? So based on which kind of inputs that I have selected, isn't it? Now here, if I'm going to select a negative terminal, okay, so which means that I am exploring the options of inversion. Can someone tell me what is an inversion? We have seen that in the previous class. Yes, you can unmute and respond. How does this inverting configuration work? Or what is inversion? A just simple answer would be appreciated.
So getting a reflected input.
You mean to say the inverted, the mirror image?
Yes.
Okay, that's right. So now let us see, as to how this works. Okay. So when we are giving the input here, the input voltage to the negative terminal, the other one is kept grounded, which means we are not passing through any information to the positive terminal, right? So how do I get the current? V is equal to IR, right? We all know that. So if I need to know how much current is passing through this resistor R1, right? Then I have to put the formula V is equal to IR, right? Now, so this I is equal to V in divided by R1, right? So this is fair enough. So we all know that the currents is equal to V in divided by R1. Current does not flow into the op-amp. So even if you're giving a voltage potential here, okay, the current does not pass through inside the op-amp, okay, but then there are possibilities that the current can pass through R2. Okay. So current will come here, okay, but it will not enter here. The current will not enter here, but instead it will take this path. Okay, instead it will take this path. So which means we are looking at something, where the current is flowing through. It comes here to this point, and then it passes through and appears at the output side. So I hope you are clear with what I am trying to convey, isn't it?
Yes.
Fine. Current does not flow into the op-amp, which is actually one of our basic rules, right? So the current through R1 must go through R2. So current, whatever current is here present, that should pass through R2. And the voltage drop across R2, how do I find out voltage drop? Now, if you see, this is a voltage divider, R1 and R2. It's a combination of voltage divider. So if I want to find out the current between these two resistors, then it's going to be the input voltage multiplied by R2 by R1. Right? So this is going to be the complete formula of what current is going to pass through. Okay, R2 by R1. Now we know that, as much as possible, since the input, okay, since the input is V in and the other one is ground, okay, the output will try to match, or this op-amp will make sure that it matches the input. So when it matches the input, okay, let us take this as minus V in, and let us take this as plus V in. Just for example, I'm saying. Okay. Now, if I combine both of them at my output, what is it going to be? 0, right? So that's the property of my op-amp. So that's how I get this formula. Okay, so V out, at V out it is 0 minus this thing comes in here. Okay, so 0 minus V in into R2 by R1. So 0 minus anything is just the value, right? So which means we are only left out with V in, which is minus V in into R2 by R1. Okay, so which means if I have to say that it is it is amplified, okay, then it's going to be actually in the form of R2 by R1, right? Because V in remains common, right? So since V in remains common, what is going to happen? Since V in is common, V in is amplified. So how many times is it amplified? It is amplified by minus R2 by R1. How did we get this minus? Because 0 minus V in into R2 by R1. Okay. So V in was our input, right? So we cannot say that, this is my output. But then this is my input, and the multiplying factor is R2 by R1. So it is minus V in R2 by R1. So V in is common here because it is our input, isn't it? It is our input. And hence, okay, and hence what is going to happen? This V in is as same, which is here. Okay, so this V in is getting multiplied by a factor of minus R2 by R1. Okay, so what is happening here? The negative sign, which means it is inverting amplifier. Whatever, suppose you have given a rising value at the input side, okay, at the at the input side, if you have given a low value, okay, then at the output you are going to get a high value. So it is amplifying, but inversion is happening, and the small signal, okay, the lower capacity signal is getting increased to a higher capacity signal. Okay. So the current is drawn into op-amp output terminal. So the current is not passing inside the op-amp. Okay, here it is blocked. Think that this is a big wall. Okay, the current is not passing through, but then the current passes through here and it appears at the output side. Okay, so the current is drawn into op-amp output terminal. So students, any doubts here? Have you understood this inverting configuration? Yes.
Understood.
So the next configuration we will just look into. Okay. So next is going to be the reverse, which is non-inverting configuration. So here, if you can see, my input is given to the non-inverting input, and my negative input is grounded, unlike the previous one. In the previous one, we had given the opposite, right? Yeah. So in this inverting configuration, we had seen that the input was given to V in was given to minus terminal. And in this non-inverting configuration, we're going to see that the input is given to the plus terminal. So how does this work? Here also we're going to use the same configuration. Okay, just that the ground which was here is replaced here. Okay, and the input and ground both are swapped. Rest of the configuration remains the same. R1 is remaining in its place, R2 is in its place, output is here minus plus. Just that the ground and V in are swapped. Okay, so now the negative terminal, okay, is held at V in, which means the negative terminal wants to become V in, okay, because it it tries to make sure that both of the inputs are same. Even if I give 3 volts here, this minus terminal will make sure that it is maintaining at least minus 3 there. Okay, so that's the basic idea of an op-amp. So the current through R1, okay, is nothing but my V in divided by R1. Okay, because V in also comes and sits here. Okay, the same value happens to be here. So my current is going to be V in by R1. But this time what is happening? The current is flowing in the reverse direction. Okay, previously we had seen it is moving from left to right, but this time, okay, it is the other way around. It is moving the opposite way, because see, always you should understand the electrons roll down a hill. Okay, what is roll down a hill? It is moving from a higher potential to a lower potential, right? So here I have a ground. So is ground a higher potential or a lower potential?
Lower
Low potential.
Lower potential, right? Good. So which means I should have the electrons rolling down the hill. Down the hill means moving from higher to lower, right? So which means it is moving the opposite direction. Fine. This current cannot come from op-amp input. So comes through R2, okay, which is from the output, and the voltage drop across R2 is also going to be V in into R2 by R1, because this R1 and R2 is forming what? A voltage divider, isn't it? So it is, the input is multiplied and amplified by a factor R2 by R1. So here, okay, since the output is at a higher potential than the negative input terminal, okay, so it is going to be V in R2 by R1. Okay, so the V out is going to be V in plus, okay, V in plus V in into R2 by R1. There we had seen 0. There we had seen 0 minus, but here it is going to be V in plus. Okay, why is it V in? Because the currents are getting generated and it is moving in the opposite direction. Okay, so V in plus V in into R2 by R1. So these two are actually voltage parameters. So this is my input voltage plus something. So what I do here is I take V in as common. Okay, so when I take V in as common, I get 1 plus, okay, R2 by R1. Okay, so the gain, okay, the total gain that we can see here is 1 plus R2 by R1. Now since it is 1 plus, it is what? Positive. It is not negative. It is negative when I say 0 minus, but here it is 1 plus, 1 plus something. So 1 plus something is going to be, of course, a higher value than the negative value, which means it's going to be a positive value, right? So the current is sourced from the op-amp output in this configuration. So you can see that the current is actually coming from the output terminal, right? Passes to R2 and then comes down and gets inside R1 and slowly it sinks to the ground. Okay. So this is the path that it follows. So I hope all of you have understood this configuration as well. Any doubts, students? Any doubts?
No doubt.
Okay, fine. So we will now look into the next configuration, okay, which is actually, now I'm going to start off with your syllabus, okay, which is the basic op-amp circuit. All that we learned so far are the basics, the things that are really needed to understand what is an op-amp. So we have understood op-amp, we have understood that how the voltage levels at both the inverting and non-inverting terminals are kept constant so that the output becomes a zero, right? Uh, and we have seen that it has infinite input impedance, finite output impedance, right? And it has a high gain. Okay, all of these are the best things of op-amp. And we have also seen positive feedback and negative feedback, inverting configuration, non-inverting configuration, right? So this is the basic circuit. This is what you're going to see inside the op-amp. Okay, inside the op-amp, your IC, this is what you're going to see. So it has three levels. Okay, number one, a differential input stage. Number two, level shifting stage, and number three, the voltage follower output stage. So these three are shown, and you can see that it has the dotted lines here, right? It has dotted lines here. Now let us take it stage by stage, and we will try and understand how the circuit works. Okay, so the first stage, as I told you, is a differential input stage, okay, which means it has a differential amplifier. So those terminals that you see, okay, the inverting and the non-inverting terminals are these. Okay, so these are your inverting and non-inverting terminals. So these are going to be the inputs of your op-amp. And can someone tell me what device is this? What device is this? Is it a transistor? Is it an op-amp? Is it a BJT? Is it an FET? Or is it a MOSFET? What is it?
BJT.
It's a BJT. Good, right? So we have two input terminals here, which is VI. VI is referring to input voltage, and V2. V2, or we can say V1 and V2 to keep it general. Fine. So this is my base, emitter and collector. Base, emitter and collector. So the resistors across these terminals are called so. RC is the resistance across collector. RE is the resistance at the emitter. Okay. And with the base, we give the inputs. Right. So I hope this part is understood. Now, if you see RA and RB, these two are also resistors, and the voltages across them will be VRA and VRP. Okay, so VRB has its positive and negative terminals, right? So this VRA, okay, or the resistor RA and RB also forms, it forms what? Can someone tell me? We have seen that in previous configuration, two resistors. What does it form?
Voltage
Good.
divider.
Very good. It forms a voltage divider. So whatever voltage that you're giving here, say for example, you're giving about 5 volts here, okay, plus or minus 5 volts. Why I say plus or minus? Because it has plus VCC and minus VEE. So plus of 5 VCC and minus 5 VEE. So when I give 5 volts here, okay, this is exactly reduced by half. So voltage divider. So I'll be approximately getting about 2.5 volts in this stage, level shifting stage. So whatever voltage that you see here, okay, that is passed through the base, okay, the base of this voltage follower output stage. And this is called as your VB3. Why is it VB3? Because this is my VB1, VB2, and VB3. First base, second base, third base. Okay. So accordingly, they are called Q1, transistor Q1, transistor Q2, and transistor Q3. Okay. So this VB3 that you see, okay, is the voltage that comes and sits between the base and the emitter, and the output is drawn, okay, with respect to RE3, the resistance across emitter for the third transistor. That is the meaning of RE3, resistance with the emitter terminal for the third transistor, right? So this is my output voltage. Output voltage, I get whatever is VB3 will be equal to V0. So that is why the term voltage follower output stage. So voltage is followed. Suppose 2.5 is here, I should be 99% getting about 2.5 voltage. Okay, so that's why it's called a voltage follower stage. And this is called level shifting stage because it shifts from one level to the other level. And this is called a differential input stage because it checks, okay, for the differences between the input V1 and V2. Those differences are actually taken across and amplified. Okay, so we will just go through these points. Whatever I have explained, I have put it here for your reference. Okay, but however, we will just have a quick glance through these points. The basic circuit of an IC op-amp consists of a BJT, differential amplifier, input stage combined with an emitter follower output. So this emitter follower output is also another term used for voltage follower output stage. Okay, both are same. In order to confuse you, I might ask in the question paper with an emitter follower circuit. Okay, construct the basic circuit of an op-amp. Right. So do not get confused. Emitter follower output is nothing but your voltage follower output stage. Why is it same? Because I am taking my output across which terminal? Across emitter. Right. This is my emitter E. Right. And this is my base. And this is my collector. Right. So both remains the same. It is emitter follower output or voltage follower output stage. So the plus and minus are referring to your minus and plus potentials. Okay. So transistors Q1, Q2 together with resistors RE, RC constitute a differential amplifier. So that is what we have seen here. You have seen RC, right? And then you have seen RE. Okay. You have seen RC, and then you have seen RE. Okay, which produces a voltage change at the collector Q2. So this is the voltage change that you see across resistance RC. Always, okay, voltages will be across the resistor. So this is your VRC, voltage across your resistance, and this resistance is across the collector, okay, of the transistor Q2. The Q2 collector voltage is passed to the voltage divider, okay, which we saw RA and RB, which shifts the DC voltage level down to approximately half. Okay, approximately half. So which means 5 might even come down to 2.6 or probably 2.4. Okay, so approximately it's going to half or reduce the input voltage by 2. This voltage is then applied to the output via emitter follower, okay, consisting of transistor Q3 and emitter resistor RE3. Okay. So I hope this basic circuit all of you have understood as to how this circuit looks inside your op-amp. Any doubts, students?
No, sir.
Sorry, any doubt? Please tell me.
No doubt, sir.
Okay, okay. Fine.
So do we need to learn all these diagrams?
Yes, you have to, because you have to, because that's what I said. No, I'm going to ask the question with the emitter follower stage. Okay, represent op-amp with its basic circuit, or I might even ask it in the other way. Draw the basic op-amp circuit. Okay, so you should know that it has two transistors here which function for differential purposes, and then it has two resistors which functions as level shifters, and then it has a single transistor which takes care of the voltage follower parameter. Okay, and obviously the output is taken across the output or the load resistor RA3. Is that fine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here are some configurations, that we can see for the supply voltage options. So we do have some options as to how we can use these op-amp. As I told you, op-amp is a wonder circuit, right? It has lot of applications. It is very much used in the field of electronics. So we will see just a few of them, okay, about 3 configurations as to how these supply can be provided to the op-amp. So I have listed out about 3 supplies here. Okay, the 3 ways in which input can be provided to the op-amp. Okay. So the first configuration, let us check. So this is a voltage follower with directly connected signal source. So I have my signal generator here, okay, and my input voltage is Vi, okay, and I am giving to the non-inverting terminal, right? So these 3, 2, 6, these are all pin numbers of your op-amp. Right? So I'm using plus VCC and minus VEE, okay, and I'm giving a negative feedback here, right? So why are negative feedbacks given? To make sure that the circuit will become stable and our outputs do not have oscillations, right? Okay, so the input comes through here, and it gets amplified, and I can take the output across my load resistor RL. Now since my input also has a ground terminal here, okay, so directly I can take across my resistor, which is RL. Okay, RL can be taken. Now let us just see, okay, as to how this configuration works. Okay, right. Resistor is used in figure B. Okay, so in figure B, what I'm doing here is, in figure 1, I have not used any resistor. Okay, I have directly connected. Now here, since I'm using a resistor, I have to use a coupling capacitor. Okay, coupling capacitor is to make sure that these BCs are blocked. Okay, and it makes sure that there's a proper charging and discharging of this capacitor. Whenever a resistor is there at the input side, you should make sure that you have a coupling capacitor. Okay, and then this is my input or the resistor across my input terminal. Okay, and as usual, I'm giving a negative feedback from terminal 2 to 6, and my output voltage will be across RL plus VCC and minus VE. So this voltage follower can be given with plus or minus supply, okay, and the capacitor coupled signal source. So this signal source has a capacitor coupled because it has a resistor. Compare with the previous one, no resistor, no capacitor. Rest all remains the same. So this is one way of giving, this is the other way of giving input, and this is the third way of giving input to your op-amp. The ways in which you can give inputs to your op-amp circuit is what is discussed here. Okay. A resistor is used in figure B because the signal is capacitor coupled. So you have a capacitor, capacitor should be associated with the resistor. Okay, done. Since the DC output will be at ground level, the load can be directly coupled. Okay, since I have the resistor, okay, which is connected to ground, and my signal is also connected to ground, so I can directly take it across my RL. So my output voltage is across load resistor RL. Now we'll see the next configuration here. Okay, it's a little bit different. Okay, we are not using minus VEE. Okay, usually minus VEE used to be connected, but here we are connecting it to ground terminal, and plus VCC is used. We can use this kind of configuration if and only if we have the voltage divider circuit. Okay, so if I have R1 and R2, okay, connected in a voltage divider fashion, then only I can use this kind of configuration. Say for example, instead of using plus 15 volts and minus 15 volts, here I might have to use that configuration plus 15 and minus 15. But here I can directly use plus 30. Why? Because this does my job of dividing this plus 30 divided by 2. So which means plus 15 and minus 15. Okay. So I should have this voltage divider circuit. Okay. And it's not compulsory for me to have minus VEE. Right. So this is the other way of giving. You have a coupling capacitor, same like how it is here. You have the resistor here. Just that the VCC is connected through another resistor. VCC is connected through another resistor, and that resistor is your R1. So R1 and R2 together forms voltage divider. So in that case, I can use this ground configuration, which means I can use a higher potential of only plus 30 volts. Okay, so here I will have to use this plus or minus 15. Okay, this plus or minus 15 configuration. Okay, so in this case, okay, what we have to do, we cannot use a DC supply, but we have to use a AC supply because we are not using plus and minus, right? We are using only plus VCC. So that's the reason we have to use a AC coupled op-amp input. Okay, so that this will avoid the grounding of bias point. Okay, so that the signal here does not get grounded. So we will use AC supply here. Okay, and the load also will be capacitor coupled. So I have a capacitor here, voltage divider circuit. So with this configuration, I have to make sure that there is a capacitor also provided here.